Good evening. Welcome to episode 20 of the Hockey Variety Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Now, I've noticed that the YouTube algorithm is bringing in more viewers. I like that. So before you click away, because I noticed the retention isn't very long, stay tuned because later on in the podcast, I'll have some inside information in the NHL that no one else has. This is a special podcast. And I do have information that other podcasts don't have. This is your number one podcast for NHL, beer league, fantasy hockey, hockey culture, hockey history. We talk it all. We talk about it all here. So, yeah. And number one by my own rankings. Yeah, that's right. Because I listen to at least 5 other hockey podcasts. And this one's my favorite personally. Because it's mine. Anyways, yeah, it's Tuesday evening I'm recording this. I was going to make a second one on Sunday, but by the time I wanted to do that, there wasn't enough new trade stuff coming out, so I decided not to. And then, of course, right after I decided, the Timo Meier stuff came out, the Tanner Jeannot stuff came out, so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wait until, Tuesday. I'm going to wait until the Patrick Kane trade is done, and then I'll hop on the pod. And then go figure, the Patrick Kane stuff got confirmed today, along with a bunch of other stuff that I don't think anyone expected. So, yeah, tons of trades to go through today. That's pretty much the only thing we're going to be talking about on today's podcast. But once again, if you're new, stay tuned. I got some insider information for you later. So, yeah, tons of trades. I am still a bit congested today, still a bit sniffly. So, yeah, apologies if I'm sounding a bit off. But yeah, tons of trades to get through. I don't want this episode to be too long, so I'm going to get right into it. I swear I'm going to be blowing my nose after every single slide. So, okay, it's going to be a long podcast. So, first trade, Timo Meier. The Timo Meier trade with the New Jersey Devils and the San Jose Sharks finally went through. There was a lot of speculation that he was going to New Jersey. I personally thought he was going to New Jersey, and here it is. So there's a lot going on in this trade, but allow me to simplify it right off the bat. So if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're actually watching this and you see a bunch of names on the New Jersey side of things, pretty much everything below Timo Meier's name, you can pretty much just whatever. It's just contracts going back the other way. A lot of this is just making sure that both teams have they meet the contracts floor, I guess. There isn't really anyone too notable there. In fact, Scott Harrington already got claimed off waivers by Anaheim, so he's not even in New Jersey anymore. So it's Timo Meier, and then going back San Jose's way is quite a bit of important stuff. So let's get into it. So the big pieces being the prospects and one of the picks. I'll talk about the other quote unquote first round pick there. So Shakir Mahatmadulin, very, very excited to see this kid's name on the back of a San Jose jersey, and I plan on buying that jersey, provided he's, ends up being a pretty good Shark, which I think he will. He's putting up pretty good numbers in the KHL. He's still pretty young. First round pick for New Jersey in 2020, I think. Yeah, really excited for this guy. Same thing with this, I can't even say this kid's name. Nikita Tuck. I don't know how to say that. I'll learn it eventually. But defenseman. I think he's playing over in Utica right now. Fabian Zetterlund, who has been playing for the Devils. I think he was a third rounder, but he really worked his way up to being a pretty highly regarded prospect for the Devils. But I guess now he's a roster guy. I think he's making his debut for the Sharks tonight. 8 minutes from now. I'm actually recording. It's like 7:20 right now. So yeah, they get New Jersey's first. I believe that first is top 2 protected, but according to the little thing at the bottom, but it doesn't matter because New Jersey's not falling out of the playoffs this year. So who cares, right? And then there's a conditional first round pick. Now I have the conditions on the screen there. Pretty much the New Jersey Devils have to make the conference finals one of the next 2 years, I believe. So this is pretty much a second. If they don't make the conference finals, it's a second. If they do, it's a first. But let's say they make the conference finals this year and then they're awful the next year, and then that first becomes top 10, it gets moved to 2025. So if you're a Sharks fan, it's best to treat that pick more like a second, in my opinion. Especially when you consider how competitive the West is. I'm not saying the Devils won't make the East Finals, and I'll certainly be cheering for them. One, because they have Timo Meier, and he's a player I really like. And two, it's better for the Sharks if the Devils do well in the playoffs. But I'm going in kind of expecting that to be a second when it's all said and done. Then they get Andreas Janssen as well. Now, I kind of skipped him because he is probably going to be, at best, a roster player for the Sharks at this point in his career. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up with the Barracuda eventually, but we'll see. I don't know. He was pretty good in Toronto, but things just didn't really work out in New Jersey. And then they get a seventh, which, is a seventh, so whatever. And overall, I think this is a good trade for both teams. As a Sharks fan, they really needed to add more to their prospect pool, and they did that with this trade. Because they didn't really have too many guys other than Eklund that's worth raving about, and now they added a bunch of good young players. So, and then picks, right? Picks could end up being a really good player just by being a first. So, yeah, we'll have to see how this works out for the Sharks, but I'm happy with this trade as a Sharks fan. And then going back the Devils' way, they get Meier. Now the big thing is they're going to have to re-sign him. So the sooner they get that done, the sooner the sooner they don't have to worry about it, I guess. So, yeah, the Devils are going to be looking to re-sign Timo Meier as soon as they can. And that's about all I have to say. I think this is a pretty good trade for both teams. So, right after the Timo Meier trade got confirmed, Tanner Jeannot got traded from the Nashville Predators to the Tampa Bay Lightning, further confirming that the Preds are indeed selling what they can. And over the weekend, it came out that Dave Poile, is that how you say? Dave Poile. He's retiring, and Barry Trotz is going to be taking on his role as general manager of the Nashville Predators. And they're opting to do a bit of a retool, reset. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be like a long-term thing, but who knows? It really depends on what moves they end up making. And yeah, they're moving on from Tanner Jeannot. They get back. Now, I want to say it's a lot, but hear me out. So, Tampa's general manager, Julien Brisebois, he came out and said that, there's a lot here, but when you think about it, those second, third, fourth, fifth round picks, usually they don't really turn out being an NHL regular. So take all that with a grain of salt. And of course, people are going to be dismissing him and stuff. And, I really don't like saying somebody has, earned your respect, because that's dumb. You're going to respect who you respect. But this is a 2-time Stanley Cup winning general manager. He's made some really good moves in the past to set his team up. I think you can give him the benefit of the doubt that he at least, maybe that he doesn't know what he's talking about, but that you should be kind of listening to what he's saying. It's the same thing whenever people overly criticize anything John Tortorella does. It's this guy is a Stanley Cup winning coach and a Jack Adams winning coach. Yeah, I know he has a lot of sound bites and stuff, and he's a bit of a meme sometimes, but he might be worth listening to, considering he's had success as a coach. And I think the same goes for Brisebois. So it might be worth hearing him out on this, because I think he's onto something. So Nashville gets back Cal Foote, a first, and then a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth. But the big things are Cal Foote and that first, which you imagine is going to be a pretty late first. But we'll see. 2025 is a long ways from now. I'm sure there's some conditions on that first, too, just in case Tampa does end up sucking. But I don't think this is as bad of a trade as it looks. However, considering Tanner Jeannot is having a down season, and considering Nashville's having, I don't want to say a down season, but a worse season than they had last year for sure, there's definitely risk to this. This is banking on Tanner Jeannot bouncing back, but we saw the kind of player Tanner Jeannot was last season, and he's the kind of guy that any team would want, especially Tampa. So I'm optimistic about this. I think this is going to pay off for Tampa. Obviously, if they win the Stanley Cup this year, I don't think anyone's going to care about any of those picks or Cal Foote or anything. but we have to see. And then Tanner Jeannot, he's going to need a contract extension as well. I don't even know what number you give him. I don't even want to speculate on that, just considering he had a good year and now he's having a down year and it's only his second year. So I don't know. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But this is a risky move for Tampa. I think this is high risk, high reward, though, for sure. Especially with that first, especially with Cal Foote, who, he's a pretty good prospect. I think he just hasn't really had. Well, I shouldn't even call him a prospect. He's been in the NHL for a bit now, but I just don't think he's had the opportunity in Tampa. Maybe he'll get some opportunity in Nashville, but you'll see later on in this video that there's still. Well, there's another defenseman that came into Nashville today. I know they lost one too, but yeah, I don't know how much opportunity Cal Foote will have in Nashville, but we'll see. Maybe he'll turn some heads over there. But yeah, I'd say pretty good trade for both teams. Definitely a bigger risk on the Tampa side of things. And I think Nashville's doing all the right things right now. They're collecting draft picks. They're collecting young players and kind of like what San Jose did in the Meyer deal. I think this is a good move for Nashville and a pretty safe move for Nashville as well. So Patrick Kane is officially a member of the New York Rangers now. Okay, we pretty much knew it last time I did the podcast, and now it is official. And before I get into the details, I gotta get into the boomer rant section of this podcast, okay? And I know, okay, it's gonna sound so stupid, but I know, I know they've been doing this for a while where a player gets traded and before they even play for that team, you almost automatically start seeing pictures of that player's face in that jersey. And they've been doing this for a long time, but I haven't had a podcast up till now to say that I think it's totally weird. I get it. And it's harmless. I'm just, just being a boomer, but it's just weird because it's that photo that's on the screen right now didn't happen. Okay. In fact, you look at the next slide, it's that other picture, except they put him in a New York Rangers jersey. It's weird to me. And I don't know. It's not really a big deal. It's just, I think this is weird. And then we see, lately we've been seeing all the stuff about AI deep fakes or whatever. And it's this is what started it, bro. This is the original deep fake, okay? So when you get canceled 20 years from now, when my podcast gets canceled tomorrow by some crazy Leafs fan that turned me into a deep fake or something, you can blame the people that make these photos. So anyways, I wanted to get that in. Let's actually look at the trade. So Patrick Kane, he's going to the New York Rangers. I almost said the New Jersey Rangers. That would not be right. And in exchange, they get a conditional second. We'll talk about the conditions in a sec. And a 4th round pick. Now, that second will become a first if the New York Rangers make the conference finals. And I think that is just this year's conference final. So it's similar to, hang on, my cat's chewing on something. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I believe it's only if they make the conference finals this year. So anyways, as I predicted, this is kind of a pretty poor return, but there's no leverages. The Blackhawks had no leverage here. It was pretty much, you had to get back what you could for Kane, and this is what it ended up being. So I can't really call this an L for Chicago. And it's tough because if they made this trade at the start of the year, then they probably would have gotten back a bigger package. But was this trade an option at the start of the year? Because again, Kane has the no movement clause, right? He has full control. And it seems like the only team he wanted to wait for was the Rangers, right? Now, if you're a Chicago fan and you're like, oh man, we didn't get back that much. Oh no. You have 3 Stanley Cups. Okay? That's a Sharks fan. Okay, on behalf of Sharks fans, on behalf of Vancouver Canucks fans, on behalf of Nashville Predators fans, on behalf of Ducks fans, you have 3 cups. Okay? It's fine. This guy got you 3 cups, okay? Be happy. All right? And I know the last one was in 2015, but be happy. You have 3 cups, okay? And who knows? You'll probably have more soon enough, right? Who knows? But this guy got you 3 cups. Relax, okay? This return, it is what it is. There's a fellow named Cooper Zek involved, and Andy Walensky. I don't know much about them. Probably just contracts. So, yeah, Chicago retains 50%. Arizona retains 25%. Saw a funny meme on the internet of Patrick Kane dressed up as a Arizona Coyote. I thought it was funny. And I'll probably be in the thumbnail. And yeah, I don't really have too much more to say about this, though. But man, the Rangers look scary. It's a good trade for the Rangers. I can say that much. Even if he doesn't end up re-signing, which I kind of feel like he doesn't. But we'll see. I don't know. It'd be cool. He's got to re-sign. He's got to sign somewhere in the offseason. Maybe the Rangers will find a way to make it work. But they got to re-sign Hedl. I don't know. But I think all the Rangers thinking about is right now. And the future is now or whatever. So, yeah. And as for the Blackhawks, it is what it is. You got back what you could. You'll see, though, in the next slide that the Blackhawks are getting quite a bit back for some other players as well. So the Leafs, the Toronto Maple Leafs have had a very busy offseason. And today, or not offseason, sorry, trade deadline. They got Ryan O'Reilly, Noel Acciari, and now, after Jake Muzzin's his season being over and he's on the LTIR now, the Toronto Maple Leafs traded. They received Jake McCabe, who I thought Toronto would be on his no-trade list. I mentioned that in a previous podcast. I guess not. They get Sam Lafferty as well, depth center, so lots of depth here. And they get a couple fifths. And in exchange, Chicago gets Joey Anderson, Pavel Gogolev. They get a conditional first. I haven't even looked at the conditions on that one. I probably should have. And then a second. So, yeah, again, I think pretty good return on Chicago. I hadn't looked into this one too much. I don't know too much about Joey Anderson, Gogolev. Yeah, I definitely should have done a bit more research on this. But, yeah, and that first is top 10 protected, apparently, but that's kind of how things go these days. And, yeah, Chicago retains 50% of McCabe's salary. That kind of goes without saying because Toronto is right up there with the salary cap, so no surprises there. However, Toronto, they made another move today. Now, this one caught me off guard. I'm actually still trying to formulate an opinion on this. And for some reason, TSN set this. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't put the first on Toronto's side. They kind of have it at the bottom there. But Toronto gets Eric Gustafson and a first-round pick. Now, this is Boston's first-round pick that Washington got in the Dmitry Orlov trade. So this pick will probably be in the mid to late 20s at best. It might be in the 30s. Might be 30th, 31, 32. I don't know. We'll see how the playoffs work out, but this is going to be a pretty late first no matter what, but it's still first. So Eric Gustafson and a late first for Rasmus Sandin, a defensive prospect player. He's had a tough time really staying in Toronto's lineup just for depth reasons. I personally think Toronto should have given him a bit more of a chance than they have, but he should get opportunity in Washington with them moving so many guys out. You have John Carlson, who's injured. Now you have Gustafson out of Washington. Orlov's out of Washington. He'll have opportunity in Washington. So I'm happy for Sandin. Clearly Washington's willing to give up a first to get him. So, he's wanted in Washington. And yeah, I really like this trade. I like this trade for Washington. As for Toronto, we'll have to wait and see. It's a little silly what they're doing. They're doing so many just big moves, and you think they're done, but maybe not. I don't know. Toronto's just going all out this year. They're going to be really fun to watch playoff time, but the East is so competitive, and there's so many teams in the East just loading up right now. I don't know how this is going to pan out for Toronto, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, with this trade, pretty happy with it for both teams. I'm really happy for Sandin too. I'm glad he's in a place where he'll hopefully have some more opportunity. So Yeah, and I do like Garrett Gustafson too. He's a fun player to watch. Puck moving defenseman and all that. He should be able to help generate even more offense for a Toronto team that has no problem generating offense. So yeah, and I kind of have a feeling Toronto's going to do something with that pick. I don't know. I think they're gonna. I don't think Toronto's done. I know they did a lot today, but I don't know. I feel like they've got one more trick up their sleeve. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this for both teams, but especially Washington for sure. If we need to pick a winner, let's say, I'd go with Washington, but we'll see. We'll have to see. I mean, obviously, if Toronto wins the cup, oh man, that'd be crazy. If Toronto wins the cup and Gustafson's a big part of it, then you know you kind of have to say they won the trade. So yeah, moving on. Edmonton. Okay, so we've been waiting for Edmonton to make a big move, and they made two pretty big moves today. But this is definitely the bigger of the two moves. I'll talk about the other one right after this. But Nashville continuing to sell. Nashville trading Matthias Ekholm to Edmonton for Tyson Barrie. Now, that is definitely for money reasons, because I know for a fact the Oilers really do like Barrie. He's a good locker room guy. And I wonder how this is going to work out for the Oilers, because I think we can all agree Ekholm is a better defenseman than Barrie, but maybe there's a chemistry thing. Maybe he won't fill kind of that void that is left when Barrie's traded away from the team. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I don't want to take away from Ekholm. He's a very, very good all-around defenseman, defensively, offensively. He should get some time on the power play now that Barrie is gone. So we'll just kind of have to see if things, if they gel. Nashville also gets back Reed Schaefer, prospect from the Edmonton Oilers. I believe he was a late first rounder last season. So we'll see how that goes. I think he was in the World Juniors as well. They get this year's first and next year's fourth from Edmonton as well. So this is Edmonton's big splash. Kind of like the Leafs. I don't think they're done, but we'll see. Well, we'll have to see how this works out. But Edmonton definitely gave up quite a bit of their assets from this trade, so they might not have too much to work with now. But yeah, I don't know. Pretty interesting trade. I hope this works out for both teams. Again, Nashville just picking up pieces. So yeah, I think 3-4 years from now, Nashville's going to be a pretty good team. They're going to have a lot of prospects too. You also got Askarov improving in Milwaukee as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting time for Nashville in these next few years, and it's going to be an interesting playoffs here for Edmonton, having Ekholm. And Ekholm has term too. He's got another 3 more years at $6 million beyond this, which might be tough for Edmonton considering they have to re-sign some guys. I think Bouchard is the big one that comes to mind. So yeah, we'll have to see how this pans out. I don't really have too much of an opinion on this trade, to be honest. But again, I like it for Nashville. They're picking up pieces, and I think this is what they need to do. Okay, the other trade Edmonton made today, they traded Jesse Puljujarvi to the Carolina Hurricanes, finally trading Puljujarvi. He's requested a trade, and they've tried to make it work, and they finally found something they're happy with. So Puljujarvi going to the Hurricanes for Patrick Puistola. Now, I looked him up. He's playing in Jokerit right now. He's seen as a bit of a project. He's a winger. We'll have to see how this all pans out. And then Puljujarvi, you kind of know what you're getting with him. Maybe he'll get some more opportunity in Carolina playing with Sebastian Aho. I know they have some World Juniors chemistry. I know that was such a long time ago now, but who knows? Maybe they'll put him on a line with Sebastian Aho, and maybe things will work out. Teravainen, Aho, who knows, right? But yeah, I like this trade. I think it's good that Puljujarvi's getting a fresh start somewhere. Kind of little reminiscent of the whole Kotkaniemi thing. I know very different circumstances, but he was a player who I think needed a change of scenery, went to Carolina, and now we might be seeing something similar with Puljujarvi, minus all of the all the shenanigans that went on with Kotkaniemi. Why can't I remember? Why can't I think of the word I'm thinking of right now? It was an offer sheet. Okay, it was an offer sheet signed. I don't know why I blanked on that so much. And the thing is, I'm not even going to edit this podcast either. So you get to listen to me trying to remember what an offer sheet is. So there you go. It's late. That's my excuse. Okay. I've got one more trade I want to talk about. Now, this is not a major trade from today at all, but this is a San Jose Sharks podcast. I got to talk about this move, okay? So Henry Thrun, team captain of Harvard in the NCAA, his rights go to San Jose in exchange for a third. Now, that might seem like a steep-ish price for a prospect that maybe you haven't heard of, but hey, this guy won gold with Team USA in the World Juniors. I believe. I should maybe double check that before I start kind of eating my words here. But I looked at his stats in Harvard, and he is he's having a pretty good season. He's a pretty good all-around defenseman, good plus minus. I'm really happy with this return. And again, this is another young player for the Sharks. This is another guy they can add to their system. I think this is a good move. Yes, he did play in the World Juniors and won gold with the States in 2021. There we go. And good move for the Sharks, I think. Obviously, that third could have been a pretty good prospect too, but I don't know. I really like what the Sharks are getting back with this guy. Hopefully, they can get him signed to an entry-level contract and get him playing for the Barracuda soon, maybe the Sharks soon enough, the San Jose Sharks soon enough. So, yeah, I just wanted to drop this into the podcast because I'm really, really happy with this. Oh, hang on, my phone's going off. I'm just gonna take this. Hang on. Hello? Oh, Mr. Bedman. Hi, how's it going? Oh, good. Yeah, no, I'm good. I haven't talked to you in a while. Oh, okay. Oh, Austin Matthews. Okay, so that's okay. So the plans to get Austin Matthews and Carolina. Okay. I got it. Yeah, no, I won't mention it on the podcast. Don't worry. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Austin Matthews. Oh, and Nylander. Okay. Yeah, we'll see about that. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I'm glad you feel comfortable opening up to me about this. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bevan. Okay. Bye. Okay. Just gonna start recording. Oh, I was recording the whole time. Okay. All right. Fantasy pick. All right. Oh, the bottom of it cut off. It's okay. Oh, I guess you're not going to be able to see. Oh, there we go. Okay, that works. All right. So Eric Gustafson, he's my fantasy pick. Now, I wanted to pick somebody that got traded over the past few days. And I noticed Gustafson's usually available in my leagues. You pick him up for a game, you drop him, that kind of thing. But now that he's in Toronto, things get interesting. He's on a better team now. He might get less minutes. I guess that's the only downside. But, he's playing with some very good offensive players. He's put up some really good numbers in the last few weeks here. Barring his plus minus, which he's a -1 when you look at those last 6 games that are on the screen there. But he's got a bunch of points. He's got 8 points in those 6 games, if I counted correctly. And he's a defenseman. He'll get you the occasional block, tons of shots. I think it's worth checking him out. They at least have 3 more games this week, and then I think they have 2 more next week. I didn't put their weekly schedule on there like I did with my last fantasy pick. But hey, Eric Gustafson, he's available. He's going to be on a new team. I don't know when he debuts for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but yeah, I recommend checking him out, just for a game or two, just kind of see how he does, and then go from there. So yeah, that's my pick for this episode. And that is it for this episode of the Hockey Variety Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I told you it'd be a short one, but I'm feeling kind of under the weather today. It's late. I really just wanted to strike while the iron's hot here with all this craziness going on today in the NHL. So, trying to keep myself current here, trying to climb the podcast ranks here. We're at 5 subscribers. We're trying to get to 10 before the end of 2023. So if you can leave a subscribe, that'd be great. If you can leave a like on this video, that'd also be appreciated. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. Just search Hockey Variety Podcast and hopefully it pops up for you. But, you know, it seems like the Facebook algorithm doesn't like our podcast quite as much. So might be tough to find me there. But I've been pretty active on Instagram. So Hockey Variety Podcast on Instagram. Thanks again for the support. And I should have a new episode out this weekend, definitely following the trade deadline. But if some even like super crazy stuff happens in the next few days, I don't know. I might have to do one earlier, but I'm gonna try to hold off until after Friday's trade deadline and then kind of recap some of the big moves that happened then, because there are still some big moves left. I hope. Okay, there's lots of talk that you know, all the craziness has happened, but who knows? Who knows? We've seen some pretty crazy stuff go down at trade deadline in the past, so who knows? Anyways, thanks so much for listening, and talk to you soon.